Warwick Valley Winery, the home of Doc's Hard Cider. And today we're in your apple orchard.
Yes.
This is where cider begins.
This is where it all begins. Right now we are along the Mutsu apples, otherwise known as crispins, and we use about 12 different varieties of apples in our hard cider.
And so what kind of apples make a good cider? Is there the perfect apple, or is it really just finding that right combination?
I think that's something you could debate for hours. I'm not sure we have that sort of time. But we use dessert fruit, and we use a blend. What we're looking for is consistency in flavor, sugar, and acidity.
So it starts here, what time of year? You pick the apples now, and then what's the process going forward?
So it starts early September. That's when the first varieties start ripening. The apples are pressed into fresh juice, and then we bring them into our fermentation room, which we'll go to later.
And what's different about making cider versus perhaps other types of alcohol that people are more familiar with the process?
So yeah, that's a good question. A lot of people, they get confused whether cider is more like a beer or more like a wine. I usually say it's more like a cider, because it is its own category.
It's like cheating.
But it is, in some ways, it's more similar to winemaking. It is a fruit, and it's fermented fruit. In other ways, it's similar to the brew process. Like we finish it in a bright beer tank, which is the same as you would see in a brewery, and that's where it's finished and carbonated. So it has some similarities to both.
Wonderful. So where are we going to in the next stage of the process?
So after this, we're going to go to our production facility where we have all our fermenters, our carbonating tanks, and our bottling line.
Wonderful. Let's get going.
All right.
So where are we now?
So now we are in the production facility that produces Doc's Draft hard apple cider.
So we take it from the orchard to here.
We take the apples from the orchard to here. The cider is pressed and pumped into these fermentation tanks. After it's inoculated, it starts fermenting. It takes about 6 weeks to complete the process, so it'll go from very sweet until it's almost fully dry, and then it's transferred after filtration into one of our chill tanks, which is chilled down to temperature so that the CO2 can be absorbed into the product.
And then it's carbonated and bottled?
Then it's carbonated in the bright beer tanks, as they're called, which are pressurized and injected with carbon dioxide, and then right after that, it's bottled on our bottling line.
And so what's the advantage of having it in the tank? What does the tank do for the cider in all the various stages?
So it's pumped into the tanks. They're stainless steel, so the main benefit of that is that they're very easy to clean. At the top of the tank, you can see the gases that result from the fermentation are allowed to escape into the atmosphere. And then on the bottom of the tank, you have the valves which allow us to move the cider to other tanks after filtration, and then finally to carbonate it.
Well, thank you so much for walking us through the steps of how you make Doc's Hard Cider here.
Thanks for coming.